My name is Ellen Voie. I'm the president and CEO and also the founder of the Women in Trucking Association. I started my career actually back just out of high school when I was working for a steel fabricating plant and I was in the drafting department. And they came to me one day and they said, "We'd like to move you into the traffic department." And even though I didn't know what traffic was, meaning transportation, they sent me to school for traffic and transportation management. And I earned my diploma. And after that, I was promoted from assistant traffic manager to traffic manager. And I was responsible for 3 plants. We also had 3 drivers. But I was also responsible for all the material handling equipment that went out from the plant and all the raw materials that came in to the plant. So it was quite a responsibility. And that's how I started my career. And through the years, I've always been interested in the people side of the industry and very involved in families of professional drivers. Actually wrote my thesis on the complex identities of women married to professional drivers. And a few years ago, in 2006, I was actually hired by a trucking company to figure out how to attract and retain non-traditional groups, such as returning military, Hispanics, seniors, and women. And at the time, I was getting my pilot's license, and I belonged to a women's aviation organization. And it struck me that there wasn't one for the trucking industry. So in 2007, I started the Women in Trucking Association, put together a board of directors, got an attorney to help us file all the paperwork, and we became a nonprofit that year. And here we are 13 years later with about 5,500 corporate and individual members in 10 countries, and 15% of our members are men. They join because they believe in our mission. So what would be my secret to success? I think it would be to follow your passion. Do something that you really enjoy and that you really want to change things for the better. So my passion is to empower women. And so through the Women in Trucking Association, I can help women become better leaders, better managers, be better at their job, maybe help address some obstacles, and also just support women and build them up. I would also say that my motto has always been, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. And so I do things that might not always be the norm, so I push myself. And for example, I did get my pilot's license and I own a small engine airplane, and so I go flying, and that's pushing my comfort zone. I also have a motorcycle, and I have a commercial driver's license, so I can drive a tractor trailer. But I would say push yourself and beyond your comfort zone, because you'll never know how much you can do if you aren't actually working hard to test yourself and challenge yourself. We care about our drivers, our members, and so one of the things that we're concerned about is their mental health. Like I said, I have always been interested in the people side of the industry. So we partnered with an organization called Aspire to provide all of our commercial driver's license holders, our CDL drivers, with 90 days of a free service that allows them to talk to a mental health professional. And it was paid for by Amazon, so we're offering this to them so that if they do have stresses in their life, or if their family has stresses, we are giving them the opportunity to call someone and talk about it, because drivers are dealing with a lot of stress out on the road. They can't shelter at home. They are expected to wear masks when they deliver at a lot of locations. They need hand sanitizers. They need to clean their trucks out. They need to do social distancing, which can be hard. So it's been a struggle, and a lot of rest areas have closed, so they don't have access to restrooms. And inside seating at restaurants has been limited as well. So, and you can't take an 18-wheeler through a drive-through restaurant. So that has created some challenges for our drivers, but they're out there on the front lines and they're delivering and they're doing a great job. Women in Trucking is a virtual organization already, and we have staff in about 6 or 7 states. So we have always worked remotely, and we work well together. We're a good team. We do touch base. We use technology. We have a lot of Zoom meetings, and we have consistent meetings between different departments and staff, and then a monthly all-team meeting as well, just to catch up and make sure we know what everyone else is doing. My views about COVID-19 on enterprises and businesses. I appreciate that we're all concerned about opening things too soon and people having contact. But I also think that we need to be sensitive to how people are dealing with the isolation. For me, personally, I travel a great deal normally. And so staying at home in my home office has been a real different environment for me. It's been a little different to not be staying in hotels and traveling to airports all the time. It's a good thing, but that means that I'm not being around people either. So that's been a real challenge, but we're coping. A time when it was hard for me. Well, personally, I can tell you that one of the most difficult times in my life was when I was 19 years old and my mother was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, died 8 months later. So that was very difficult, and it's been many years since she's been gone, so I miss her greatly. But professionally, a difficult time was actually at the beginning when I started Women in Trucking. Even though I started Women in Trucking in 2007, when we hit a recession in 2008, it was very difficult to keep our organization moving forward. And so we had to do some things to make sure that people wanted to join and give them value. But we also were sensitive to the fact that a lot of them didn't have the kind of funds to pay dues. So we did some things creatively to help them make sure that happened. But we survived and we've grown bigger, and this COVID-19 isn't going to slow us down. So my advice to startups in regard to the coronavirus pandemic, it's a very hard time to start a business right now because you can't have personal contact in many situations. And video isn't as effective as being able to see the person and read their body language and that sort of thing. So I would say if you're thinking of starting a business right now, I would maybe just do the groundwork and start thinking about who your competitors are, what they're lacking, and that you can bring into the business world that they haven't. What makes you different? And then start thinking about how you would brand yourself as well. So I would just spend a lot of time doing the legwork, finding out as much information about what needs are out there, and then start working on it when things get back to the new normal. So motivating employees and other people is something that I think a good leader needs to be able to do. And a good leader needs to motivate by leading by example. If I'm not working hard, I can't expect my staff to work hard. If I'm not doing what I need to do during these troubling times, then why would I expect anyone on my staff to do that? Also, I need to be a good listener. A leader has to listen and find out, what your staff is doing, what your staff needs. And for us at Women in Trucking, I need to listen to our members. That's how we know what challenges they're facing. Also, what needs are out there and what can we do to help address those needs? Maybe it's amenities at a truck stop, or maybe it's truck cab design, ergonomics, Maybe it's a sexual harassment issue, things like that. But we want to be the resource that they come to get information to deal with the challenges they're facing in a career in the transportation industry. I would tell women, any women, whether you want to work in a male-dominated environment like transportation or anywhere, I would say, first of all, you have to prove yourself. People will respect you once you've shown them that you really are serious about succeeding in your career. So prove to others that you've gotten the education, the credentials, that you are serious, you've learned as much as you can, and continue to keep learning, and then work hard. And again, once people see that you've proven yourself and that you are respected as a leader in your industry, then you can move forward a lot faster. But that first step, credibility, is very, very important. So you need to establish your credibility and walk the walk, not just talk the talk.